Hey, Dr. Bateman. Here is my lab 6. I believe it's lab 6. Starting with the counting threads. This one is pretty simple. Just uses a thread to make sure that it's counting rather than the UI. We have a string in here and a text view. In our main activity Java class, we have initialized the text view, set the count to 0, and started the thread. Then, whenever the onStart fires, the count resets to 0 again, which seems a little redundant, but whatever. And then hits the runnable, and starts counting. Otherwise, it'll throw this error, which I haven't actually gotten yet, but it's a possibility. And that is running smoothly. As you can see, everything works just fine. Yeah, so yeah, it's counting. Very, very exciting. Next is the stopwatch. Got our stopwatch in a text view and 3 buttons that start, stop, and reset. So let's check out our watch Java class. In it, we have our start time, our update time, and our store time. Here's our constructor, our null constructor. And then this is our reset watch constructor. We want that to just reset it all to 0. And a bunch of methods here that we'll call in the main activity class, I believe. So let's go see where those are called. First off, we have instantiated our buttons. Well, we haven't hooked them up, but we've instantiated them. And then we've instantiated our watch and this time in milliseconds. My freaking cat's stealing spoons again. Anyways, on the onCreate, here's where we hook up all of our buttons and text views. The hide button is here. Or actually, we hide the stop button. Because it can't stop, won't stop. Create our watch time and create our handler. So our start timer is here. The stop button becomes enabled. The start button does not, nor does the reset button. And it starts. There's our runnable. This is what keeps track of the actual time and displays it in this format. And then finally we have our stop timer, and this turns off the stop button, turns on the start and reset button, and captures the time. Finally, our reset button just resets everything to 0. So let's see that run real quick. stopwatch. We can start the timer. Gives us the time. Stop it. And then reset it to 0. Or we can stop it and start it right back up again. Yeah. And then for our final one is our fish one. We've got a bunch of image views and several layouts that have the fish, the foliage, and the back ocean, I guess you might call it. And there they all are. But the important parts are the actual Java classes. So let's start with the fish class because the main activity will utilize the fish class. Bunch of variables. We'll start with the fish. This essentially captures our fish's position. Then our move is a switch. Hey, that tells it to either swim, find food, or eat food based on its current status, its current M condition. So when it's swimming, it burns these calories, and this just determines where the fish decides to swim to. And this just determines, like, if we're at the wall, turn around, go back the other way. This fires after the initial swim, and it tells it to go somewhere else. And then it'll repeat this series of events until the food in the stomach is less than or equal to 0, in which case it will change the condition to hungry up here and find a place to eat in the bottom of the tank. So when it is hungry, it will find food, and here is where it's finding the food. If the food is less than or equal to X, turn around, basically. And this is deciding when the stomach eat food. Okay, now this is saying whenever you are low enough in the foliage, you can eat. And eating is right here, eat food. So let's go down to this method. It adds 4 into the stomach every time it loops, which is until it hits the stomach capacity, which is 80. So it'll loop this until it hits 80, and then start the condition swimming all over again. So, yeah. Then there's the swimming. It calls the swim method. So there's our fish AI, I guess you might call it. Here's our main activity. Mostly we are just building the layout here. We're grabbing the fish, we're grabbing the fish. Okay, yeah, we're grabbing this layout, we're grabbing the activity main, and we're grabbing the foliage somewhere. Foliage. Maybe I think that's actually the foliage there. And the fish gets put in there with his initial AI. Here. Initialize X and Y positions, set them to swimming, and grab the tank width and height. Then this inflates it. Etc. Finally, we have a runnable. Runs to tells the fish to move, catches any errors, and then our handler sets the image view location, I guess. Anyways, let's just run it. And there's our fish. He's swimming currently. His initial stomach is set to 80. And he will burn 1 calorie every time. What happens? Oh, did he just get hungry? Yeah, now he's hungry. He's in the foliage. He's eating until his capacity hits 80, and then he goes back to exploring. So there's our fancy fish AI. And that is all of those bad boys. Thanks.